result of these efforts, I am confident.
Slim down this summer.
Okay, so morality isn't exactly the newest, shiniest thing that came out of gaming or anything. The idea of having some sort of choice has always been present since the old Atari ages. Whether it be which city to let die or which way to move your paddle. So you'll be right on board with me when I say something totally superlative like games are the best media for moral decisions, right? Good. Well, you probably said yes. Just say yes. Okay. Yes. Good. Now I suppose it would behoove me to first tell you very interested viewers what a moral decision is. Seems like a good place to start. It very much isn't some arbitrary choice whether to move up or down with your paddle, so I lied to you earlier. Ha!
Well, I fooled you, I got pig iron, I got all pig iron.
I'll get you guys a definition, just let me grab the big old book of gaming definitions, Yeah? Oh, got it right here. Huh, that's funny. Next to morality only has a picture of Anne Hathaway. She can never do anything wrong. Oh well, I guess I'll just make up my own. A moral choice is a choice in a game where each option plays upon the pre-existing views of the player. Now when I was trying to come up with an answer for this thing, I stumbled all across the internet land and I eventually found my way onto the place that holds all knowledge, Yahoo Answers, where I saw this guy. To me, a moral choice, a decision I choose because I know it is the right thing to do and it is correct. Whoa, hang on there, Pete McGee. If a moral choice in a game is done correctly, then it's not entirely obvious on which choice is the right one or which one is the wrong one, which makes it tough when you're trying to figure it out, which is the whole point of it. Well, let's just say that there's this farmer. Oh, by the way, minor spoilers for these games. So you got this farmer who's doing what all farmers are pretty much doing, you know, eating people. So then a choice is presented as such. Do you kill the man, bathe in his blood, slice off his head and offer it up to the gods, both ancient and sleeping, or don't? Now I'm sure that we could all just go on for entire minutes about which choice is the better one. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Now, the way I see it, there are three kinds of moral decisions that are presented in gaming. We'll label these bad boys as the Steel Warriors, the Chrome Masters, and the Hell Patrol. No, the names may have nothing to do with their definition. Let's talk about the Steel Warriors first. Now, the Steel Warriors are all about choices that are super obvious to the player. They don't want to dish out any bullshit, and it's always going to be super apparent when you're making a choice. So they're going to be your Fables and the Mass Effects and, you know, whatever. Next, we got the Chrome Masters. I said we got the Chrome Masters. Now the Chrome Masters are somewhat of a deceptive bunch. It's kind of the choices where you don't really know the outcome, but that you know deep down inside the bowels of the game that something is keeping track of what you choose. It's a feeling in your gut that we'll call the truth. It's like in games like Morrowind, when you can just steal a bunch of random stuff and if no one sees you do it, then you're good to go. But you know it's bad that you did it, don't you?
Breakdown!
Just to recap, on one hand you got the Steel Warriors, which are the simple choices and you know pretty much how they're going to end out. And on the other hand you got the Chrome Masters, which are the more complex decisions that are not as obvious. Now the Steel Warriors and the Chrome Masters are similar in the way that they're both player-controlled choices. That's important, remember that. But then we get to the Hell Patrol. The Hell Patrol. Screw it. This is where the game character makes a moral choice for the player. It's usually at the climax of the game, and you're just left sitting there trying to soak in all that's going on like some sort of confused, terrified sponge man. Or woman. So essentially you could argue that there are only two kinds of moral choices. ones that are done by the player and ones that are not. I could have said this at the beginning, but then there'd be no Judas Priest or Killer Instinct references, and I just can't live with that. Now, I've got a big problem when games just flat out tell you what the good and bad choices are. Like, you know, in Mass Effect, when it straight up just lays out and it whispers in your ear and it says, hey buddy, this is the renegade choice. Isn't that cool? No! It ain't cool! The entire point of a moral decision is that there are no easy answers, and therefore there should be no simple way to judge what your decision should be. Because all you're doing then is just waiting in anticipation for the next red choice to present itself so that you can just bust a cap in the foot of this guy. Without the internal wrestling within the player, there are no moral choices being made. So if you've up and decided to just be a boring human, and you're just gonna have a straight Paragon character in Mass Effect, then you won't ever hit a red choice, even if that's what you want to do. When this is the case, there is no morality being questioned because the player has distanced themselves with the protagonist. Uh-oh. And that's the opposite of what you want with a morality choice, if we're being frank. Hey, and speaking of Franks, let's take a look at Last of Us. What a segue. So here you are with some dumb guy named Bill who previously had some other dumb guy named Frank as his partner. Turns out that Bill really liked his partner a lot. Not like that, but you know. And he was pretty much his only friend. But, what's this? Uh-oh. It turns out that Frank hated Bill. What? I know. So then the choice becomes, show Bill the paper proving that his only friend actually hated him, which will undoubtedly cause Bill's already crumbling world to collapse around him, or don't. Uh-oh, guys. Uh-oh. It looks like we have a Desdemona's handkerchief situation going on. Guys? Go read a book. Heathens. The point being is that a real moral choice has been made here. And if you've been paying attention, it falls under the Chrome Masters category. Okay, good job. Granted, it's not really apparent that a choice is about to be made because it's represented by that thing, but the important part is that this was not forced upon the player, and furthermore, it doesn't grant Joel horns if he's completed enough bad deeds or something. And speaking of the Fable series, let's talk about the Fable series. Fable is a game that makes the alignment of moral choices pretty apparent, but it does so very goodly. It's not because of their ability to really make us sit there and question the choices that we make in the game, but rather that they parody life itself. I mean, just look at the characters.
Got you, you little ruffian!
The lens in which Fable views the world, people, and certainly the choices is so warped that ultimately it just becomes a caricature of the world around us. I mean, just listen to this guy.
Hello, lad. I'm a trader. I wander the world buying and selling wares, especially to fine folk like your good self.
What kind of mustachioed man actually talks like that? And the fact that they put him in the beginning of the game really sets the tone for the entire game to come. So even when your village is being burned down seconds later, you know that somewhere in the world there's a trader that could still be spinning his incredible weave of accentness with his mustache. So I don't know. Which is one of the many reasons why I don't like the newer Fable games. They've tried to make your choices more serious, choosing even whether or not to doom an entire kingdom in Fable 3, and despite your choices being heavier, I really just can't remember any of them. And that's not because I've played the first Fable over and over and over and over, but because I ended up caring more about the caricature than the actual heavier, more realistic world, and that's what's far more important. There cannot be any true moral choice if the player does not care about the setting that they are in. In fact, caring is what guides most, if not all, moral choices. Circling back to the farmer, I chose B, not because I didn't want to kill that asshole of farmer, but because I cared about what Clementine would think. Oh. And the key to making a game with great moral choices is getting us to truly care about the people and places that we are making the choices about. And if you do that, then moral choices will just naturally come. Which is why the David Cage games can just suck a big fat fuck.